Thanks so much, everyone, for attending another Oasis Solutions Partner webinar featuring our chosen partner solution for payroll and HR in the cloud, SyncHR. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we'll give you some more information about Oasis Solutions and how we provide value to our clients in helping them select, implement, and support their core business management software. Aaron Dick will talk about SyncHR and their organization, and Tricia Weibel will take us through a demonstration of the SyncHR platform. At the end of the webinar, we'll open it up for Q&A and take questions then. At Oasis, we have been helping clients over the last 27 plus years find, implement, and support their core business management software. We're headquartered here in Louisville, Kentucky. My name is Aaron Rosenberg, and I'm a partner here and the Senior Vice President of Business Development. We also have offices in Lexington and in Nashville, and help customers all across the United States, servicing over 700 clients. We focus on people and process, and we believe that software is just a product to help make people and processes more productive. We also believe that who you buy from in the marketplace today is often more important than what you buy, which is why we've invested in some very talented and experienced people here at our organization, including former CFOs, controllers, software developers that make up our qualified team. They understand that taking a customer through a complex implementation project is only going to be an added portion of their position. So we take great care to make sure that our clients focus on the aspects of a successful project with any of our software providers. We have over 250 plus years of combined experience at Oasis helping our customers do just that. So now I'd like to introduce our friends from the SyncHR team, Aaron Dick, who is the Director of Channel Sales at SyncHR, and Tricia Weibel, the Director of Solution Consulting. And Aaron, the stage is yours.
Thanks a lot, Aaron. Appreciate it, and we appreciate to be a partner within Oasis Solutions. And again, this is Aaron Dick, Director of Channel Sales with SyncHR. I'm very excited to be here today and to give you guys a better understanding of us as a whole. And I work closely with Aaron and his team over at Oasis Solutions. So SyncHR, yes, we're human capital management, but we are starting, and we believe that it's more than just about human capital and payroll and also HR administration, but more of a people platform. And when we say people platform, it's because we can extend across multiple systems within your organization, looking at CRMs or even within your ERP that maybe Oasis Solutions can assist with. We can tie into that and make it where we are similar to the nucleus of your organization. And there's the next slide is going to show you a little bit more in detail of what we're kind of talking about when it's just people platform. So people platform is because it's spread across those other systems, but for SyncHR, we're very much about the core, and I'm very open to say the core for us is that very middle where it shows payroll, HR, and benefits. Those are really important components for SyncHR and important, we think, to any organization as we look at that as timeless data. And when organizations look at their employees and they have their information from the employees, that doesn't change a whole lot other than life-changing events or maybe their address change. And within their company, that data should stay together for data integrity, better reporting capabilities, and it's just really more powerful for anyone and any administrator within the organization. That's that time-based. It's the time-sensitive information that we think is important. But then anything outside of that, the recruitment and learning module and any performance management, anything that's really outside of that, we can bring partners. We have systems of our own, but also we can bring partners that we think are great best of breed that Aaron is talking about within the market. Or if you have one that you are a fan of, we can certainly tie into that as well with our integrations or any way that we can make it as seamless and as simple as possible. But then you look at the enterprise ecosystem, and we'll dig into a little bit more. And when Tricia will be assisting us in just a little bit, she'll dig into that extensibility that we're talking about and making it more of that people platform. But we believe we have a really great offering. We are built in the cloud, natively built in the cloud. Started around 2010, so we've had quite a few years under our belt, and we really have a good system that can really go beyond just the human capital management. Tricia, I'll let you kind of take it from here. And again, we appreciate everything that you guys are helping us with.
Wonderful. Thank you, Aaron. So as we move to the application today, what I'm going to be focused on is a couple different elements. Certainly in our time together today, I'm not going to be able to do a full, end-to-end solution demonstration, but what I do want to talk about is areas of the application that we hear a lot from our customers, from prospective customers, really are the bottlenecks or the common challenges that they have either with a current vendor, within manual processes, within their organization. So we're going to spend a few minutes walking through the employee self-service experience. We believe at SyncHR that we provide a frictionless user experience, and we'll explain what that means as we walk through that. We're also going to spend a few moments around the administrative and HR experience, and really what we want to demonstrate there is the automation and the accuracy of data that we bring to the table from a solutions perspective, and talk through some of those areas that typically organizations have difficulty being able to either perform transactions, get visibility into their data, or some of the other challenges. And then we'll wrap up with a little of our reporting capability and talk about really what, at the end of the day, we're able to bring to the table to solve a lot of those common business challenges that we find are prevalent today. So I'm going to start first with the user experience, and I'm logged in as an ongoing employee who also happened to just been a new hire, has a new hire checklist that they need to complete, has access to all of their information from an employee user experience perspective. What I want to draw your attention to is how much information is available to the employees and the ease in which they can access that information. So when you look, for example, on the left-hand corner here, you can see that it's clearly labeled here as to what areas they're able to go to or perform a transaction or request or see information. This is really configurable. So when you think about being that one-stop shop for your employees and wanting them to be able to go to a singular location and access any information that's relevant to them as an employee, a lot of systems fall short because they're only able to show the piece of which they provide to the employee. So that might be a payroll stub, that might be a benefits enrollment. It might be that they are able to provide both, but where they fall short is the ability to then configure additional single sign-on locations, such as an employee perks program or company intranet, or various sites or access points that organizations want to provide to their employees without having to provide to them multiple user ID and logins, without having to provide multiple website locations, and in some cases without having to provide manual or paper-oriented information. So an employee is able to see their information. You're able to give them access to what they should and should not be able to change on their behalf, but really empower them with information, allow them to see their pay stubs at any time, allow them to see documents and links, request time off, see their existing time off that they've already requested or the hours that they might have available, direct deposit information, family information, dependent information. You're able to formulate a checklist for any given event. So this might be, for now, a new hire checklist. And you'll notice as I click on that hyperlink, it takes me into the checklist items that I need to complete. And as I walk through that, what it also will allow me to do is if I had a benefit enrollment action to take, I would be able to go directly from there here. I could download and review the employee handbook information. I can certify or check that I've read that, so there's an audit trail capability there. But this might also be an applicable checklist to put out for your employees during annual enrollment, or it might be during a different point in the calendar year that you want to present out information and ensure that they're able to receive a notification via email or text, and also within the self-service portal, the ability to take action on that so that you can track that all of your employees have read or understood a change in policy, they've completed their open enrollment, perhaps you're reminding them that they've started but not completed that open enrollment. So all of those capabilities from a notification perspective are available within the SyncHR platform. In addition to that, and really where we stand alone or apart from a lot of our competitive vendors in this space, is around our ability to produce an ongoing, accurate, visible rendition of an employee's total compensation statement. So the ability to see this on demand but also to download that compensation report and being able to see what in many cases, in many organizations, is a very arduous, manual, cumbersome process, most likely annual, where they're collecting data, they're putting together that formatted view that they can then share either electronically or print and mail to their employees, but have that conversation around what the organization brings to the employee from a total compensation perspective. So the ability to do that on demand and to know that this continues to build each pay period. So it starts to build out that view of what really the employee has from a compensation perspective and allows that manual, arduous, really cumbersome process to be eliminated within the organization and give access and visibility to the employees. In addition to that, when it's time and appropriate to make a benefits enrollment change, this particular label might say new hire enrollment, it might say annual enrollment, it might say life status event. Regardless of what the event is, the timeline of the employee, the label is going to change dynamically based on that event. Now, in this particular circumstance, I've already begun a life status event. I've logged that life status event. I've requested to add a baby to my benefits. I've made sure the system has ensured that based on the birth date of the dependent and the fact that it's a birth event, that I was within my time scope to be able to log or request that life status event. It may have prompted me to upload documentation proving that the event is valid. And then based on the type of event that I have logged as an employee, it then knows how to present information to me. And this is where really the rubber meets the road in terms of being able to be a rules-based application. So we're able to present to them only the information, both text, documents, and benefits that they should be able to see based on the type of event that they've experienced. So in this particular circumstance, as part of the life event, I had added Baby King as an example. And as I continue through this process, I want you to notice a couple of things. The first is the crumb trail that I'm going through. It's letting me know where I am in the enrollment process to help me understand where I need to go and when I'll be complete. But then the second piece that I want you to notice is that it's going to tell me what my previous enrollment is, and it's only going to present to me changes that I'm eligible to make based on the type of event that I've experienced. So in this particular case, it would not likely be, appropriate, and I could block out or waive the or limit the ability for an employee to waive a plan because of the fact that I've experienced a life event that is related to a birth. So all of those areas of the benefit enrollment experience can be rules-based and can be triggered based on the type of event. In addition to that, I'm able to see a lot of information on a single screen, and that's very much by design. We want to limit the number of clicks an employee is required to take in order to be able to have an effective, empowering open enrollment experience. So I'm able to select if I have multiple plans, and I can compare multiple beyond the two, and compare my plan summary documentation. So I'm able to look at side by side and make an educated, empowered decision as to what plan best fits my lifestyle and my needs in this current time. So I can look side by side and the employer can decide what information is relevant to be shared here. But it could be that I'm looking at, what's the difference between the maternity services or eye exams or hospice care. All of that information is available to me on demand, in addition to any related videos, summary of benefits coverage. Again, really putting the information at your employee's fingertips and allowing for that frictionless user experience. And as I continue through the benefits enrollment process, I would have access to my life and disability plans, certainly subject to guaranteed issue and evidence of insurability information, the dependencies between plans, so the ability to, if I elect a high deductible plan, only be presented with a HSA option, and the opposite, of course, true, that if I select a PPO or other plan, that I may be presented with an FSA option, limiting the ability to add spouse life insurance without the employee optional life insurance being elected. All of those nuances that really drive a lot of manual audits and corrections and education from an HR benefits perspective, putting all of that in an automated way in the application and allowing them only to see and access what they should be able to see, and allowing the system to trigger the responses accordingly. So a lot of value that we can bring from an employee administration experience or intuitive experience, I should say, and the ability to automate a lot of what today we hear from our prospective and current customers, or prior to coming onto SyncHR, was a very manual, cumbersome process. As we move through the application, the next area that I'm going to spend a few moments on is related to the HR administrative functions. And the first place that I've gone to in the application as a super user, if you will, is the organizational chart. What you're going to notice up above here is all the access I have, and all of that is going to be contingent upon my particular security role in this application. So if I should not have access to payroll, certainly I wouldn't see that. If I should only have access to a certain subset of employees based on location or role or other attributes, then that's all I would have access to see. As I look at this information and I think about what this means to my organization, many applications can produce a view. So you're able to see an organizational chart, and what really matters and what comes next is the data that's behind the production of this view. And this is really where SyncHR can help organizations such as yourself. So thinking about not just visibility, but also accuracy of the information. So notice that in addition to being able to see how the organizational hierarchy looks in this particular organization, I'm also able to see the unoccupied positions within those different pieces of the organization. I'm able to look at any view at any time and search by a manager or a position to see how each of those respectively fits within my organization and the view of the organizational hierarchy. Where this matters and where we really bring innovation to the market is the ability to separate distinctly person and position. So being able to show you the attributes and the history of an individual within your organization, and at the same time distinctly separate, being able to show you the attributes and the history of a position. So an example of that would be, notice my date here is March 22nd, 2018. And if I change this simply to 2015, notice what changes in my view. My unoccupied positions are different. My view of my organizational hierarchy is different. And the reason that we're able to do that specific point in time visibility or reporting is because of the way that we store the information in respect of a timeline. So what did the organization look at any day and time? What did that person look like in any day and time? What position did they hold? What was their pay rate? What was their benefits? All of those attributes of the person. And then what did a position look like at any day and time? That, when I talk to, commonly when I talk to organizations today about their processes, is really a common pinch point or bottleneck within an organization. It will often take many, many hours, virtually a team of people, and often they lack the confidence in the information that they've gathered and put together. And this is all able to be supported on demand within the application because of the way that we store and look at data within the organization. All right, so as we move through this, we're also going to talk about, from a change perspective, what we often hear is the difficulty in automating and transacting on changes within the organization to individuals, to locations, to different positions. And I'll just give you one example in the interest of time today, but this really gives me a view into my company staff. And notice that if I want to, I can search by an employee, I can search by a manager or position. I could, no matter where I am in the application, search with the keyword search, and it's going to pull up what's relevant. So if I put in a couple letters, it might both pull up a position as a potential result. It may also pull up a person. So it's going to give me access to all of my information by just simply a keyword search. And it's the same here. And I can decide what my views are going to look like, whether I want to just see the status of individuals that maybe are retired, on leave, all of these being configurable to your organization. But then also the ability to look at and make transactions happen on a particular employee. I could drill in further into the details of this employee, but it may be simply that all I need to do is change their position assignment or start their leave or convert them or terminate them, whatever that action is that I need to take, without having to go 15 clicks in to transact something that then has a corresponding workflow. So workflow can follow these actions, but the ease in which an administrator can perform these actions is also really a strength of the platform and the intuitive nature, that frictionless experience that SyncHR brings to the table. As we start to move through the application, another area that I'll just spend a moment on is around benefits. So this gives you an idea of sort of that sub-menu approach where you're able to see at a high level the different functional areas of your organization, but then deep dive into the particular areas of administration that you want to do. And this is highly configurable as well, what this list looks like, what you want to add to this list. But it just takes you into a particular area of the application to perform those different transactions. So setting up an open enrollment, being able to make changes to a plan list or a benefit group, all of that within a couple clicks within the application. As we move into payroll, what I want to spend a few moments on is some of the differentiators of SyncHR. So when we think about a traditional payroll process and we start to go through the payroll Monday scenario, the payroll nightmare, if you will, what we often find we hear from organizations is that a payroll process is often regulated by a series of Post-it notes and Excel documents and memory and emails that have been saved, because many applications you're unable to perform in the past or in the future, but rather have to wait to perform any sort of transaction that may be retroeffective or future effective within a current pay process. So that means they have to hold on to any changes that may have occurred since the last time they ran payroll. They have to remember on the date that they need to import those bonuses that they need to do it on that particular date, versus transacting when they hear about or become, in the presence of information. So it may be that you're planning as an organization to do a bonus run at the end of the month. You know what the bonuses are now because they've gone through an approval process. And all you simply want to be able to do as a payroll administrator is pull those bonuses into a future pay process, their effective date for that, and be able to put them in and forget about them. The system's going to be able to calculate and present those bonuses on the applicable payroll. So what I'm telling you is that SyncHR gives you the ability to just transact at any given moment. So you can go into a future or a current pay process, and you can begin putting in some of those exceptions and changes and so forth, and know that they're going to be effective when they should be. And a really good example of that is actually a retro or a mid-period change. Those are also bottlenecks within organizations we hear about quite frequently. So the ability to say that a particular retroactive change has occurred, and of course now it's March 22nd, and perhaps the change was a retro-effective pay rate change to an employee on the 1st of March. And the first may have fallen into the middle of a pay period, and not to mention the fact that it's also retroactive, and now it's the 22nd of March. And so this is where a lot of systems fall short, because what they can do is say, effective on March 1st, tell me the difference in the pay rate between the hours that were worked between the 1st and the 22nd, and give me a lump sum adjustment. But what they can't do, and what really ends up mattering, is accurately and effectively tax the right amounts for each of those respective pay periods. Being able to look at and say, what else was impacted by that change? What did it change tax brackets? How should it have been taxed if it was a per paycheck amount versus a lump sum that may be taxed at a higher rate? So now I'm no longer effectively taxing accurately for that employee or for the employer. What if it meant that there should have been an update to a 401k contribution amount? All of those elements are considered in the way that we hold our data in our application. And so what happens is it goes back and reruns and looks at each of those payrolls in order to come out with a true lump sum and a true tax rate based on that effective date. And this is what we affectionately call our time machine technology. So this presents you with not only an in-the-moment data accuracy, the ability to transact in the past, the present, and the future, but it also gives you a look into accurate data at any given point in time. So if I wanted to do a point-in-time report, in most applications, despite the fact that they were able to lump sum adjust a retroactive pay rate change, what they could not have done is allowed you to then go back at any point in time and say, what was the pay rate for that employee on this date, and their applicable benefits, and their position, and so on and so forth. And because of the way that we hold that data, we're able to do that uniquely. And that's a patented technology. So we're really proud of the way in which we're able to present back more accurate data to our organizations that we work with. As we look through this and we think about the way in which you are able to present and process payroll, we really wanted to provide a lot of information to our payroll administrators and to the organization at large. So giving you access to a series of audits, being able to hyperlink out on information that is relevant and important to you. So being able to see that you've got this amount of overtime, well, who was it that was impacted? And you're able to click on that and see the employees that were impacted, the applicable hours and so forth. You're able to look at anyone that was excluded. You're able to have any sort of pay exceptions that are important to your organization to know, what's my red hard stop? What happened? Do I have a severe person exception? Do I have, am I missing a Social Security on an employee? Am I missing a W-4? What is it that I might be missing that's going to make it so that I'm not able to process payroll on this individual? And keep in mind that you're able to do that at any point in time, so it doesn't need to wait until Payroll Monday. So this is just one example and a very high level view into our payroll. But then after this payroll is processed, so simply that calculation and committed payroll, the next piece that's typically a manual, cumbersome process is around the GL process. So thinking about how the GL is typically produced, it's produced typically in an export that then is mapped to a set of values that are the chart of accounts for the financial application within an organization. And then we traditionally hear from the finance group that there becomes, quite a bit of manual labor involved in being able to accurately post the information within the financial application. So even though we've got, a chart of accounts, we've mapped to it, now the financial organization typically takes that information and manipulates it, massages it to get it in the format and the accurate manner in which they need it in order to put it into the financial application. What SyncHR brings to the table here is a fully balanced subledger. So we're able to distinctly map to your chart of accounts, map to the cost string that you need it to look like, and give you the information before ever exporting it out of the application in the way in which a financial application needs to receive it, which takes hours out of the process, gives good visibility from your financial group into the application, limiting their view to only what they need to see, but seeing it in the way in which they need to see it. So typically all of those reports, which are still available, but take effort from a payroll group to be able to produce and send to financials that then they compare it to a GL export, that all goes away because we now have access and accuracy from a GL perspective. An example of our deeper level integration is also the ability then to directly import and export within a NetSuite application. So the ability to export it in exactly the format that they need to see it and make that ease of transition between SyncHR's application and a financial application such as NetSuite, a very simplistic, more automated process. As we think about the application, we've talked about a couple things today. We've talked about that frictionless user experience. We've talked about the ways in which we would automate and improve accuracy of data. We've talked about that unique ability to store information on a timeline, the differences between a person and a position historical table, being able to understand the differences and the impact of being able to store that distinctly. We've talked about the way that we've provided better visibility into data. And no more is that apparent than in the way in which we are able to produce and give access to solid and accurate reporting. So as I move into the reporting function here, a couple things that I want to make you aware of. The first is the fact that we have a long list of standard reports. And this is really where we constantly receive feedback from our customers. We're constantly improving upon existing standard reports. We're continuing to build out additional standard reports. We're also very focused in on what type of compliant reports do you need to have, whether it's state reporting, whether it's EEO reporting. California State Disability is a good example of that. So we're always looking to be mindful of those changes, legislative and otherwise, that we need to be aware of, and making sure that you have access at your fingertips to that robust reporting and that required reporting. And what I am especially proud about when it comes to our reporting capabilities is the fact that you don't need to be a developer to run an accurate and meaningful report. So in addition to those standard reports, you're also able to take advantage of our ad hoc templates, and you can create your own ad hoc template view. This is just a simple example of that, and we're, again, another area where we're always adding. So if you're looking at, as an example, what the benefits trend is, the benefits current as of, the ability to run payroll-oriented reports, person and position, and the list goes on and on. What you're able to do then is, if you look at that information, and I'll just go into one as an example here today, you're able to start with a template. And what that template does is it allows you to see a view most commonly requested based on the type of information you're looking at. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't limit your view. So I'm just going to pull in some sample data as an example, and notice that every time I make a change here, it's pulling in information related to the information I have here in my columns and groups. But it might be that as I start to look at this information, I say, well, this is good information, but you know what I really probably want to do is I want to segregate that data by gender, and so I want to group it. So then I can simply drag and drop the data element that's most meaningful across this application and say that I want to be able to segregate that information or group that information, and notice that it does that here. And then I might say that, you know, this is interesting that it's in a table format, but I might really want that to be in a chart format or a crosstab. I'm able to look at this and say I want it to summarize my data. And then I might say that in addition to this, I'm interested in really producing a dashboard view of this information. And then I want to save that dashboard, and I want to make that dashboard available to certain individuals within the organization. Perhaps you're going to create a series of executive dashboards as an example. And so you're able to do that simply by combining the data elements in a way that's most meaningful to you. The additional robust nature of this reporting is the ability to calculate, to summarize, to rename fields to something that might be more meaningful from an extract perspective, do modeling. A really good example of that might be that you're looking at potentially a new location, giving them a 10% increase across the board, or maybe to a subset of employees. You'll pull those into a report, and then you're able to model, what does that look like if I add 10% as an example? So really enabling you with effective tools and data accuracy and information to make those better business decisions. And this is just a simple output of what some of those dashboards can look like. And we could go on and drill deeper and deeper and create subsequent views that may be even more meaningful to your organization. But I really just wanted to give you a snapshot of what that can look like and how that can be meaningful to your organization. And as we wrap up this piece of the demonstration, what I thought I would do is just share with you some more sample reports. So I'll put this here into presentation mode so that you can see what some of those additional reports could look like and what some of those different outputs could look like. So a new hire report is a good example. If we go back here, you'll see this is demographic dashboards, and you might say, I want 2 or 3 views within a single dashboard. And this is one example of how we could do that. And then you'll notice, you know, you can do these things by generation, by location, by gender, by pay rate, but all sorts of different ways to slice and dice that data. Annual turnover is typically a very difficult thing to get to from a business perspective. And so this is something that you're able to produce on demand, and you're able to then look at it from different viewpoints. The ability to do not just budget to actual compensation, but budget to actuals from a headcount perspective, and being able to manage that as an organization. And then just some last couple high-level reports when it comes to some of our more common requests around ACA and the ability to see what your trending is, your overview, your enrollment, the measurement data, right? So then you're here looking at what the measurement data looked like and what the output was. And at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is drive automation, drive accuracy and visibility, and hope that our customers will continue to expect more, and that SyncHR will be able to partner with them effectively. So we'll open it up now to any questions that anyone might have.
So it looks like we have one question, and this one is about the right fit for SyncHR, Tricia. So can you explain kind of what the organizations look like that are a good fit for SyncHR?
Absolutely, absolutely. Great question. So what we find, and I define this so that you know where I'm where I'm coming from. When I think about the right fit, I think about the key piece of being a partner. So looking for more than a vendor, more than technology. Something that we didn't touch on today that's really important is partnership. And partnership goes beyond implementation. It also goes into considering what a change looks like for your organization and specifically partnering with you for success throughout an implementation around change management and really managing the people side of change instead of just the technology, being thoughtful about what that looks like for your organization and where we can then help you and assist you from templates to plans to talking about how to produce information that will prepare your organization for change. And then it really matters at the end of the day when it comes time to process payroll or when your organization is changing and you need to make sure that your technology can change with it. And what we bring to the table there is superior customer success. So being a proactive partner, understanding where you're going from, an organizational perspective, helping you with anything that your business needs, not just from a technology, but from a planning perspective. So we're looking for organizations that are really keenly interested in a partner versus a technology vendor. That's the first element. And then the second element I would say is organizations that have struggled in the past and may now especially appreciate the importance of having HR, benefits, and payroll within the same application, and understanding the nuance and the importance of that real-time and accurate data element that is all about HR, benefits, and payroll. So storing data once instead of relying on systems passing information and it being outdated and being inaccurate and duplicative in many senses. So understanding and appreciating the focus of having a core system of record, HR, benefits, and payroll is also a really good fit for our organization. And then I would say probably last is one that appreciates the ability to have what we call an extensible platform, meaning that what we bring to the table is that timeless core, that HR, benefits, and payroll, but knowing that your organization may ebb and flow and change over time, and you may want or need a different solution, or for us to be able to plug into your Active Directory or feed information to a system that's not traditionally HR, and really looking for somebody that can do that and allow you to be the nucleus or the central nervous system of your organization. I think that's where we bring a lot of value to an organization rather than just being a traditional HR, benefits, and payroll vendor.
Great, thanks Tricia, and thanks Aaron and all of our attendees today as we wrap up this webinar with our partner SyncHR. We appreciate all the information that you've shared with us. If you're watching this now or you are on our YouTube channel, please reach out to me and the Oasis team so that we can help you better understand SyncHR's benefits. Everyone have a great rest of their afternoon. Thank you.